And we're on. Welcome to the Cardinals UK first time ever YouTube channel video. We've got my mate Mark over in sunny Wales, or not so sunny Wales, and we've got Sarah, not with a H, based out in St. Louis. I thought I'd better get that on. Guys, yet again, we're stepping out of our comfort zones. We're trying this to promote the Cardinals. I know Mark's definitely out of his comfort zone as well. I think Sarah's a bit more of a celebrity than us. We were discussing followers early. But welcome, guys, and I do appreciate you coming on because we're in different timescales, so much appreciated.
It's great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
we've
welcome.
hit the big time.
Yeah, we're on the big time now. Right, we had an interesting chat the other night on Spaces. Unfortunately, Sarah couldn't make it, but one subject that we really did touch base with really was the chat about since sort of Wainwright, Albert, and Yardy. I know Yardy's in the front office now technically, but it's about the matter of leadership that the St. Louis Cardinals are going to sort of like what we're expecting from them this season and who's going to step up to the mark. Mark, do you want to go first on that? Because we had quite a big discussion about leadership and or maybe lack of it.
Yeah, it's definitely something that's been lacking. It was very, very clear last season. That was one of the biggest issues. And I know Sarah's a massive Yardy fan, and good to have him back within the organisation. But missed his leadership there last year big time. And interesting. Arenado's made some really interesting comments this week, just about the leadership in the sort of clubhouse last year, that it was sort of overrun with youngsters. And you can see by the signings that have been made during the off season, people like Kyle Gibson coming in and Lance Lynn, Sonny Gray, Carpenter coming back. Those are all signings with sort of plenty of experience. And I think that's what the clubhouse needed. And even if they're not going to be day-to-day players potentially, at least in the background they can guide some of those younger players through and provide that sort of leadership and support to the guys that are there, because you've got Goldschmidt, you've got Arenado with plenty of experience, but they're not necessarily your loud vociferous leaders. And I think the guys that are coming in may give them support to improve their leadership and bring them out a little bit more maybe as well.
Yeah, well put. What do you think, Sarah?
Well, I've kind of gone back and forth on this issue a little bit, as far as expecting the players to be leaders in the clubhouse. Somebody pointed out in our group chat last week, I think it was, that how really, really lucky we were to have Yachty on the team, where he was basically, yes, he was a fantastic player, led by example, coached the players and things, but he was also a vocal leader in the clubhouse. You saw him always at Ollie's side. You saw him, coaching the pitchers, coaching the catchers. And so, and when you talk to fans of other teams, you realize that that's actually highly unusual to have someone like that. That's why he was so special. And I think when he left, it left this huge void on the team that no one really knew how to fill, not the players and not the coaches and not the front office. So the going forward though, like, do I think it's the job of the players on the team to take that role? I'm not really sure anymore. I was talking with someone about, like the Phillies, for example. They had tons of talent on that team, right? But it wasn't until they actually got some new coaching staff that got in there and really took the reins, and that's how they turned their team around. So the talent on the field was always there, but what they needed was leadership from the coaches, and that's really part of their job. And I know the Cardinals have had quite a lot of turnover with their coaches, with their coaching staff, not just the head coach, but with the bench coach and the bullpen coaches and the pitching staff and things like that. So I think that has had just as much of an effect on the team as Yachty leaving, and that maybe that's where we should be looking instead of to the players on the team who are really good at leading by example, but maybe not so much with their words and giving speeches and mentoring and things like that.
No, that's really well put, and I agree. I think during game day and during a game, I think it's important that the best players like your Arenados, your Goldschmidts, Wilson, Contreras, that they're playing at the top of their game, and they need to be focused on that rather than worrying about the rest of the team. And I think I brought it up on Spaces. One thing that it really does shock me, really, but no one mentioned it, and I sort of held back for tonight. Really, is the responsibility of like the head coach Ollie Marmol. Shouldn't he be doing the motivational? Shouldn't he not be sort of like a bit more? Maybe not so passionate in the dugout, but in the locker room before the game. Or I'm sure he does, but he just doesn't project that. Um, Sort of like I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but I don't think it should rest with the players. I think sometimes the bench, the coaches within the bench, just be a bit more passionate about it. And I want I want Luke Bar, Walker, and all that to play the game, but I think Ollie needs to step up a little bit. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I think there's some situations that were quite unfortunate last year. Like the whole Marmol Tyler O'Neill situation. Didn't really set Marmol in a sort of particularly good light. Didn't think he came out very well from that, and maybe shows the lack of experience that he's got in that sort of head coaching role. The whole Contreras situation was embarrassing last year. Sort of undermined him as a sort of potential leader of the club as well. And Marmol's got to step in those situations and say, this is my guy. This is my catcher or whatever. And I know some of it was maybe decisions taken above his head, but I think there's too many coaches that would take those kind of decisions from above and not have any say in those themselves. So I think he's got to step up and take control of the situation. Last season wasn't great for a huge variety of reasons, but there was a lot that happened off the field that didn't help what happened on the field.
No, I get that, and and the thing that highlighted more last year, we had a poor season, and we got to see an improvement this year because otherwise, all his job's going to be on the line. And I like the fella; I want him to succeed, and but we need to have a decent run this year. It's not. It's going to be a tough old long season again if we're not getting the wins like we expect. Um, but yeah, thanks for that, guys. What I'm going to do now, I think we move on. Actually, we're only about 3 or 4 days away now from our first game of baseball. I believe we're playing Miami. Um, Spring training. Now, I did mention it the other night. I think the media team at St. Louis Cardinals have been absolutely marvellous with this Instagram, where we're getting constant videos, and actually they are positive videos as well. Everyone's smiling, the sun is shining. Um, you- what are you expecting from spring training, Sarah?
Well, I mean, spring training is always optimistic, right? No matter what
Yes.
happened the season before, I think if it was a good season before, everybody's looking to improve still. And if it was a bad season, I think everybody's looking for a little bit of rebirth and, um, let's put that in the past and let's start, so we're starting anew. So I think I think the feeling is almost always positive. You see the pictures, all the guys are smiling, they're having a good time, they're glad to just kind of hang out with their buddies again. And so it always starts out like that. I mean, last year we had a great spring training. I know some
Yeah,
of the
we
guys
won
were
spring.
missing. Yeah, I know
Great.
some of the guys were missing. I know from the WBC, but yeah, we did. We had the best record of any of the teams. So it always starts out really optimistic, and the overall feeling I think always is positive and upbeat.
Yeah, definitely. There's going to be another 29 franchises feeling exactly the same as us currently. 29 clubs, apart from the Cardinals, that
Right.
think they're going to go and win it all currently of this season before the first
Yeah.
pitch is thrown. And that's the beauty of pre-season, I suppose, and it's the unknown of how the new players are going to settle in. And especially after the season we had last year, it's it can't get any worse. Surely is the sort of the mantra at the moment, and it can only get better, hopefully. But yeah, there's a lot of excitement in people.
No,
Yeah,
I think there is as well. Yeah, I'm
anything's
looking forward to
possible
it.
at this point. Is
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And I was saying to Mark, and we was having a chat the other night. It's really unusual, especially with like the only thing we can compare it to is rugby and soccer over here. And someone like Liverpool would never play a rival team unless it's an exhibition game over in Japan or something. Normally, you get lower league teams that would play, and I think it's really strange that the Cardinals will be playing like the Marlins. And even the Cubs, they're playing their rivals actually, and I think that's really strange. I sort of quite like it because it makes it a bit more edgy, maybe. But I like it because it previews some of the new talent that's coming through, gives them an opportunity to sort of like attract the attention of the coaches and Ollie, and make a name for himself really. So I'm looking forward to it, and I believe there's a few people that we know are actually going to some of these games, isn't there, Mark?
Yeah, I think Sydney's had she's doing something like 9 games in 7
Yes.
days or something, isn't she? Across some of the Vegas games and the yeah. So yeah, it'd be good to get some photos and things from her experiences of spring training as well. But
Yeah, I'm
yeah, I
looking
was
forward
saying
to it.
for us, it's sorry, go on, Dave.
No, no, far away, mate.
I'd say for us, it's really strange. We were talking about this during the Spaces Saturday that having like a 30 game pre-season, compared to the sports over here where they might play 3 or 4 games, just is such an alien concept to us. And Sydney was explaining it's mainly because of the pitching. Pitchers will only get 4 or 5 starts during those 30 games, so they need to get plenty of time in to be able to prepare themselves for the season. But it is a hell of a long lead in, isn't it, to a season? Of
Oh,
30
definitely, yeah,
games. Yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
And that I was shocked when you said it was that many games, and but once Sydney sort of explained it, it sort of makes sense really. Um, and it builds up. I don't know. It's an opportunity, it really is, and especially in what a lovely place to go, Florida, Arizona, nice bit of warm weather. I don't know about you, Sarah, but the weather's been miserable over here, and that's one thing is when you see the pictures, it's just marvelous, and um, it's not bad. They take their families with them, do you know?
Some of them do. Some of them actually, I know, like Michaelis, I think, lives down there full time. Or a lot of them, will rent houses with their families and things. So yeah, some of them do. Um, but it when you think about other sports, you're right. Baseball is very unique. I mean, it's got such a long season anyway, and now they sort of extend it by adding on a whole month and a half of spring training games. But yeah, I mean, they're really just using that. We don't know who is going to be on the final roster. So, they're bringing these young
mm,
guys in, they're bringing, they call them non-roster invitees, I think, to try to, it's sort of like a tryout, it's sort of like, we want to see what you can do against other big leaguers and to see if you can handle it and if you can help us win games. So yeah, it's just sort of like a 30 game tryout for pitchers and for the young guys.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and I've been doing quite a few late shifts of late, and I don't think they're that late on the evening for us over in Mark. I think they're sort of like, are they lunchtime games over in the States, and so early evening for us?
yeah. It'll be about 6, 7 p.m. starts for us. Yeah, but I think going into spring, one of the most interesting things for me is how that sort of rotation stacks up. Obviously we've got 3 new potential starters coming into that rotation, and are they going to fit in? Are they going to be, what we need them to be in terms of just eating innings? And that's what they're there for. They're not sort of, well, two of the 3 certainly are no longer sort of frontline pitchers necessarily, or certainly not sort of top of the sort of rotation pitchers. What are they going to bring? Is it just that they're there for their experience? Are they actually going to bring stability to that sort of rotation as well? Any of the younger guys like Thompson or Liberatore ever going to put their hand up to make it onto that rotation, or are we looking at the 5 older guys? Will Mats make it through the spring training without getting injured? There's an awful lot to think about.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, all the other MLB teams are all going through the same scenarios as us. We all want healthy players. We want our best players playing, and like I say, I'm just so looking forward to it. And Sydney said she's going to try and get on telly for us, so we can look out for her. So whether or not she does is another matter. But I did do a bit of research earlier. Now I've just paid. I've just paid about £100 a ticket for the MLB in London. I know they're only friendlies, but the spring training, there's tickets available if anyone's interested. From $24. So that ain't bad for a day out, is it? Really? I'm not quite sure what you get for the $42, but maybe because the stadium only holds about 6,000, I think. So it won't be a
Yeah,
sellout.
they're really small stadiums, and one of the reasons I've never been to spring training, I would love to go someday, but I know a lot of people who have, and they said it's, even if it was more expensive, just the access that you get to the players, you're so close. you're so, a lot of the players will sign autographs before and after the games, and you get to hear their conversations on the field because you're right there, and it's really up close and personal with the team, which don't never get in the stadium during the season. So it's just one of those must do things once in a lifetime, at least, if you can, because
No, it sounds wonderful, doesn't it? When
it's
especially for the
amazing.
kids when they
Yeah.
can meet their heroes as well. It's and because it's a lot more chilled out. I must admit the media coverage is a bit um strange. It's sort of like robotic, where the questions they keep asking, how about this, how about that, and but the only one that came to light that I quite liked, I can't remember who asked Ollie, was about the age of the team and sort of like being sort of like, I'm not sure what the average was, but obviously a lot of players are above 30 now. And I think Ollie went down the road of a combination of youth and experience, which I sort of agree with, really. So I'm looking to see, for me, how the young players do adapt to playing at a higher standard, and obviously with experienced sort of MLB players anyway. So that'd be quite interesting, I think.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, Sarah, what do you make of sort of Carpenter coming back? Because obviously he left before Dave and I sort of became Cardinals fans, really. So we didn't see him in his sort of prime at St. Louis going back sort of 8, 9 years ago. So it's obviously he's not being signed for his stats currently. They're pretty shocking from the last couple of years, definitely. But what's he going to bring to the team? Why have they brought him back, do you think?
I mean, everyone kind of agrees he's been brought back as a mentor. He's been brought back as that team leader. He's, he can still DH. I think they said they had him taking some reps at third base, and possibly first base. He played a little bit of everywhere whenever he was on the team. But yeah, he's in there for his voice, for his experience, for his mentorship. And maybe, as it's kind of been implied, to take that pressure off of some of our higher performing players. Because someone made the suggestion that maybe one of the reasons for the decline of Arenado and Goldie and a couple others was because they were sort of thrust into that leadership role without wanting it. So maybe this will take some of that pressure off of them. And off of the coaches, I guess, to have someone like him. He's a very well liked. I know he's really well respected by all the players. His whole family is involved in baseball, and so he obviously has a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience. And yeah, he's just a good guy. It'll be fun to see him back. Anytime you get a player back, it's really fun.
Yeah, what sort of character is he, Sarah? Is he quite loud? Is he calm? Or what sort of personality does he have?
He's got a real balanced personality, so he'll get excited about stuff. He's been known to yell when it gets exciting. But I think in general he's a little bit more level-headed, a little bit more even. So it's a good balance.
No, that's cool. What I will ask, thanks for that, guys. What I will ask now, this was a very controversial topic on Spaces the other night. So you're a young lad, you're a young person going into the merchandise shop, and you decide you want to buy your favourite player's jersey. And the chat on Spaces, wasn't it, Mark, was about the quality that Nike are now producing, whether or not it's because they're short, they're struggling to keep up with orders or what. But Mark, it was a really interesting debate on the standards, and a lot of people thought they were slipping.
Yeah, I think there's been more on sort of X over these shirts probably than there has been about baseball over the last week, probably. But
Yes.
yeah, what it seems like sort of, I think Fanatics have taken over the manufacturing of they from Nike. And there's sort of issues with the quality of the shirt itself. But I think the worst thing at the minute is just how the numbers and the nameplates look compared to what was on the shirts last year. They just look horrendous, like they've been sort of drawn on by a 5-year-old in very small font. But but it just look horrendous. And I think a lot of people saying that they're so pleased that they've got shirts before this season because they're just sticking out to what they've got already. But I think also worryingly, like I said, Saturday is the players are coming out and sort of criticising the pro versions of the sort of shirts that they're expected to wear and the kit generally, that they haven't got the same sizing choices that they did before. The quality of the jerseys and the trousen things aren't as good as they were previously as well. So it's not just the fans that are up in arms, but it looks like quite a lot of the players as well. And Michael especially has been really vociferous on this one and sort of calling them out in terms of the quality and things. So yeah, I think it's going to rumble on, isn't it? And there's been more memes, I think, in the last fortnight than I've ever seen about a shirt before. So
Go on, Sarah. Let's have your two Pennyworth because you buy a lot of merch.
Yeah, I do. I, without seeing them in person, it's really hard to tell specifics about how bad they are. I believe people when they see them, and what the players have been saying about that. It's not just the way they look; it's about the way they fit, and it's about like a different material. And if this is what they have to do their job in and day out, I can understand why they wouldn't like it, why they would complain about it. So I think it's not just about the fans and what we're buying, but how it looks and how it might affect their performance. And yeah, it's the same for all the teams. There's no one team that's being affected more than any other, but it's just kind of sad to because it's clearly a saving money type of thing when you know how much these teams and these franchises bring in terms of money, and you know how much you pay for a jersey at the store. You don't want it to be the same material and the same style as the free ones that they give out at the gate that have like the bank logo on them or something. So it's disappointing a lot.
Yeah, we were chatting in the group the other day. In the UK, most teams do their own sponsorship deals with Adidas, Nike, Reebok, Puma. Puma are quite big over here, Mark, aren't they? And where obviously these companies are sort of like, teams like Manchester United, they shift millions of shirts all around the world, and it's quite a lucrative contract to win. But I think it's strange that Nike seem to have the whole MLB and the NFL actually. The manufacturing, they must be constantly producing, jerseys all around the world on a daily basis to even keep up with demand. It's crazy.
yeah,
But, it's,
interesting to see what sort of Nike's take is, whether they've been shocked by the quality of the jerseys or whether they don't really care as long as people are buying them.
yeah, well, changing the subject slightly, when I was watching the Super Bowl, I was watching the American commentary, and every other advert is it Temu, the Chinese, I suppose Amazon really. And I did look out of tongue in cheek, and there was a blue jersey on there for the Cardinals, and it was a massive $17. And I'll tell you what, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to buy it only if we get through into the playoffs. So there, I've said it.
I thought you were going to buy it just so you could burn it then, Dave, from the
Yeah. For $17, I bet the quality's just the same as mine. But yeah, like Sarah said, though, until I see it myself and feel it and touch it. But yeah, it's hard to gauge it. But not all these people can be wrong. So I just think it's really strange. So, right, Sarah, I know we're up against times, so I'm going to say I've really enjoyed this. It's the first time that we've done one of these YouTube chat-alongs, and we've got plans for the future with Mark, and obviously Sarah, you're always welcome to join us. You know that. Mark, any ideas, possible watch-alongs, maybe with rival fans?
Yeah, definitely. I think we need to choose games we can win first of all, so we can enjoy the games a little bit more. But we won't invite any Braves fans watching or anything like that. But yeah, we'll choose some Marlins games or some. I don't know. I can't think of any other bad teams. Yeah, no, it'd be nice to just watch the games with Cardinals fans first of all, and then if we can bring some opposition fans as part of these as well, then it just helps us to understand the game a bit more. Because I'm sure you're the same as me, Dave. Sometimes watching and you think, oh, what's happened there then, and why is that? Why the umpires made those decisions, and that's when you go onto Twitter and you think, I can't really seem that stupid and ask that question because it's probably something really obvious. So if you're watching it on a Zoom call, then you can ask your friends the same thing. So
yes, you can explain it. Someone like Sarah can explain it.
yeah.
And Sarah, you got any ideas for this YouTube channel? Because we're doing our best to promote it, and we seem to be getting more American followers than British.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We Americans will follow anything about baseball, really. So.
Oh, thanks.
No, I think just stuff like this is great. Just getting some people together that like to talk about it, and even if we don't know what we're talking about sometimes, but
yeah, we pretend we do.
it's just fun. Yeah. So yeah, anytime you want to have me on, I'm happy to.
No, that's perfect. You know, and like I say, we're doing our best to promote the thing, and it's just one of those ones where you think, oh, sorry, I'm getting a memo saying I'm running out of time, but I don't think I am. So, but no, it's just we're doing our best to promote the club and the team and the city to a degree, because obviously it's a big sporting city. You got your the city soccer team, you got the Blues that are doing wonderful apparently at the hockey. We were lucky enough to speak to Jeremy the other night, who plays the keyboards down there, and I believe it's not an NFL team, is it? You got an American football
XFL.
team.
XFL,
Yeah.
isn't it?
That's it, yeah. So that'll be starting soon. So yeah, it's a great city, and we were doing our best to promote it. But guys, if you want to follow any of us on Twitter, Sarah, she keeps changing her name on a regular basis. She's going through some sort of weird phase at the moment. But you can find her on Twitter at Cards Cookie. Is that right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And Mark's name, MLB Fan UK. That's because he didn't have a team until he
I
met
didn't have a
me.
team when I first set it up, yeah.
No,
So
you didn't,
I
did you?
went neutral.
So it could have been worse. You could have been another follower, but I'm glad you're with us, mate. So, guys, thanks again. Like I say, we're going to give this Twitter account a bit of a try. YouTube account a bit of a try, see how we get on. But this is Big Dave, this is Mark and Sarah saying thank you, goodbye.